Good morning, everybody. I do apologise. Coming on, giggling this morning. Susan's just messaged me backstage. I'd messaged her, says, "What are we talking about?" And she responded. She responded, and I found it quite humorous. So, if anybody knows Susan, you'll know exactly what she said. So this morning we do have our very lovely Susan on. We're going to be definitely speaking about our workshop on Sunday, but equally we're going to be speaking about everything to do with stress. So we'll get Susan on right now. Enjoy the show. You're evil.
What were you wanting me to say, Stephen?
I didn't expect that response, so I'm like, I couldn't control my laughter there. It was terrible. So yeah, good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm good, thank you.
Now I have to say, Susan said yesterday. She sent me a message and she said, "Stephen," and I'm sure you'll be happy with me sharing this, Susan. But she said, "Stephen, we'll maybe say that this week's my last surgery because they'll all be fed up in my dowdy old face or whatever it was that you'd said." And I was like,
boring.
Ridiculous. Was it boring? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So guys, I want you to use the comment section and tell us, do you want to see the last of Susan Watson this week?
Well, they're not going to say, yeah, get rid of her, are they? But what I'm going to say, Stephen, is I'm picking you up on that. I actually said boring. So thank you for saying that I'm dowdy, because that was obviously a fraudulent slip. And in your mind, you were thinking, oh, it had to be dowdy. So well done.
I'm sure you said dowdy.
No, I never. dig yourself out that hole, pal.
Wait a second.
I never, Stephen, you can't check on that because I didn't.
No, so you said you were old and stale.
Boring.
Dowdy's better than old and stale.
I didn't mean I was old. I meant my coming on every week can get old and stale. So don't refer it to me personally.
Not at all. I absolutely love our surgeries. I walk away on a Monday and a Friday with a belly of laughs and actually some really interesting, fantastic content that I can go and apply to my own life. And I'm sure that everybody watching this feels exactly the same. They're not using the comments, so I guess they didn't want you next week.
Yay!
So, Susan, obviously, first thing that we're going to be talking about, and it's the last thing that we're going to be talking about, we'll actually probably talk about it on Monday as well, after the experience of the first workshop. But we've got our workshop on Monday, and that workshop is
Sunday.
our...
Workshops on Sunday.
Yeah, on Sunday. I knew that.
It was just a test. It's a test.
Yeah, I was just checking your dowdy old head to make sure that you were paying attention.
You get it as soon as I see it.
So we have got our workshop on Sunday. It's 12 till 3. We do have some space. So there is space if anybody is interested. We've got about 4 or 5 spaces left. And we do expect it to kind of fly off the shelf today and tomorrow. So please do. Well, it's actually today. Today's the last day that anybody can register. So, if you're no in by 7 o'clock tonight, you're no in. It's as simple as that. And Susan and I had a call the other day, and we were going over the whole workshop. And how exciting is it going to be?
So much. It really is. There's just things in it that I've never actually done myself in a workshop before. That's really different, and it's very unlikely other people would ever experience it in workshops as well. So it is new and it is fresh and it is exciting.
Yeah, I'm
It's gonna be
I'm
fun.
really I'm really excited about it because you and I we just bounce off each other, don't we? We've got a really good energy together, so I think people will definitely they'll feel that it's well presented as well, won't
Mm.
they?
The way I describe us is like if you think of a comedy duo, you've got a really funny one and a really boring, quiet one. I'm the really boring. You're
Shut
the really
up.
you're the really energetic, funny one. I'm just like, I don't
You're
know.
the dowdy one.
That's it.
I said the other day that we're like hinge and bracket.
That's right. We did. Aye. We do have good fun. But do you know what? That's what it's all about. And you want to make the workshops fun as well. But I'm really pleased to mention on here that Stephen's responsible for all the technical stuff and making it seem good, right? And making the recordings and videos and that work. So if anything goes wrong, I am not responsible. He is the man to complain to.
But when we're live, when we're live in the workshop, we will most definitely be blaming each other for things that might go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be good fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Kerry's asking how can she book. There you go, Kerry. I'll pop the link in there so you can. All you need to do is click on the Google form, fill in that form, and then we will be in touch by this evening with all of the details. Gina is saying as well. Can Susan host it? Can Susan just host it alone?
No!
Yes.
Yeah, but get rid of Stephen. No! He is a nightmare. Stephen, get back here now or I'm going to hang up this video. Right, as you can see, Stephen likes to put me on the spot. And I know that behind the scenes he's sitting killing himself laughing. But I'm not laughing because I don't know what to say. You know what? I've got curse and swear words sitting on the tip of my tongue. I'm trying to pull them back to stop them coming out. And if anyone knows me, that's really hard for me to do.
Oh, that's hilarious! Absolutely hilarious. I do apologise, Susan. So actually, the first thing that I wanted to kind of talk about this morning, because obviously we've got our workshop, and the first thing that I wanted to speak about is something that's very, very close to my heart, has been for a long time. It's all fresh in my mind as well because I've just done 4 weeks worth of pretty intense training, and which is mental health and mental health awareness, mental health first aid, more specifically. And we were speaking last night. I was in a Zoom call with some of the other figureheads of the community who do amazing things for mental health awareness. And we all had a Zoom call last night and we were speaking about ways in which we could help post-pandemic, because we really do feel, and I don't know how you feel about it, Susan, but we really do feel that there is a lot of people really struggling right now, and not quite understanding it because they've not really ever had to cope with mental illness, or cope with being emotionally unwell. Whether that just be that they're experiencing some acute stress, or whether that be that it's more than that. So when we speak about stress, obviously we need coping mechanisms, don't we?
Yes.
She's saying to herself, what is he gonna say?
But you do, but stress, remember, I keep saying this all the time, stress isn't mental health issues. It's nothing, everybody has stress and anxiety. It's knowing how to manage that. Stress and anxiety doesn't mean that you've got a mental health issue. And I think that's important for people to understand that.
Yeah. So when stress, that's probably that's my fault for saying that. So if we rewind that and we say that stress is okay short term, but then when stress becomes something that we've been dealing with for a year, it can then potentially start to become something more.
Yes, stress itself isn't a mental health issue, but prolonged stress, living with excessive prolonged stress, can lead to mental health issues.
And I think, to be honest, there is a lot of people experiencing some of that right now. And I think probably, now I'm only thinking here, but people haven't had the right tools to be able to deal with dialing down that stress. You know, could you imagine if every single person in the whole of Scotland watched our self-regulation videos, or the videos where I'm wet noodling and you're having a good laugh at me? Can you imagine if every single person watched that and was actually able to do these things to take away that stress?
Yeah. It does really work, and it's self-regulating, and it really dials it down, and it's absolutely the way forward. There is lots of online support, and I know that in Scotland there's loads of free support for people online that can go if they're ever feeling stressed. But I guess it's the people knowing where to go. If they contacted their GP, they would be directed to that. And I think that's important to get out there, that that support is there. Whether it just needs, you've got sometimes got to look a wee bit for it. But as far as dialing down the stress, and absolutely. I mean, I was doing it with a group of brownies last night, and I loved that because it was young kids teaching them how to de-stress, and I think that's really important for a young age as well, to learn how to do it. So it was good.
Most definitely. I think, if we can teach kids these tools and techniques, then it means that they can then take those tools and techniques into their adulthood, and
Yeah.
Any kind of stressful situation that comes along. And when we speak about stress as well, a lot of people obviously have been going through this really, really tough time during the pandemic, where they felt really stressed. Their relationships are maybe tense. Their relationships with friends are tense. Like work feels difficult. All of that kind of stuff. I was going to say what would be your best advice, but your best advice would be to self-regulate and do all these things, yeah?
It would be to self-regulate and do lots of things for self-care, to get outside, go walks and things like that. But there's a flip side of that as well. People initially, I think, felt like that after a while, but there's an element of becoming comfortable with being away from people, more comfortable working from home, more comfortable not having these relationships with people. So I think actually at the moment people are getting really more used to being away from people, right? I think the problem when we come out of the lockdown, that you'll find that people find it harder when they actually go more into society, and they've got to start mixing with people and go back to the workplace. And I think stress levels will increase then, because we've all sort of, in a year of doing this, got a wee bit more used to that, a wee bit more. I know I have, a wee bit more comfortable.
I was speaking to a really, really upbeat, confident, she's the kind of person where you would think you have got it all together. And she was walking past the shop the other day, and she was like, "Hi, Stephen, how are you?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And she was very, very, very nervous, very, she was scared. And when I'd said to her, I was like, "Are you okay? You seem a bit," and she was like, "It's just because I'm outside. I feel really, I'm in the street, and the street's really busy, and I feel really anxious about being around people."
We've had it drummed into you for the last year. Social distance, wear masks, don't go there, don't do this. That's all going into this computer of our mind. And then when that changes and you're told, yeah, go out, you can do all this now, people are like, oh, wait a minute. And that's when they'll have to learn to look after their well-being.
Yeah, because right now I think people have just accepted it and they're actually okay with a lot of it. I think it is when society goes back to normal and when we start mixing again, I suppose that's going to be quite a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've had not a lot of kids, but I've had a few kids since lockdown who have been concerned about dying. So they've been worried about COVID, worrying about themselves dying, but more so about their parents dying. So you're talking about the impact there on young people and children. I mean, children and young people always go through a stage where they start to worry about death. That's normal, as adults as well. But it was particularly linked to to COVID. I've seen that, which has sort of escalated that real fear. But to the point where they couldn't sleep at night. They were lying awake thinking, oh my God, my mum's got to die and my dad's got to die in COVID. So that's really scary, really.
Yeah, it is. No child on the planet should ever worry about their own mortality, though, should they?
It's on the news. Everybody's talking about it. The kids are getting told, don't go near this, don't do that. Like, everything's just like a big danger then, isn't it? So you've got to watch, get the balance there, I think, as well. So it being sensible about it, I think.
Yeah. And obviously, I don't want to make this all about stress and the pandemic and all that stuff. But I think for me, when I'm looking at what's going to happen post COVID, I genuinely do feel that there'll be an awful lot of people that are going to need people like you and I. They're going to need that support. They're going to need people who want a place just to sit and just be.
I know that the Scottish government's looking at they've invested a lot in it, invested millions and millions in this for mental health for people, to support people after the lockdown. And they're putting a lot of things in place to make sure that help is available for people. But there'll always be delays.
Yeah.
With normal routes, there always will be delays.
Well, what we have done, or what I've done during the last few weeks, is we've obviously moved the shop around and done a lot of stuff in the shop. But what I've done is I've created a corner, and it's a corner in the shop. There's a big sofa and a couple of chairs, and there's lots of books. So we've got like a spiritual library, and it's the books are all on shelves on the wall, and that small area of the shop is going to be our little, I suppose, wellness area where people can come, they can sit, and they have a cup of tea, because when you never ever pay for tea and coffee at the shop ever, you only pay for our time. But when you're able to come in and just sit at that table and just, you're not going to have a reading or anything like that. You're just sitting. You can read a book. You can chill. You can listen to the nice music and take in the nice smells. And that's going to be a resource for people to be able to come in and use whenever they want.
That's lovely. That's really good. Very generous as well. But people will need a place to go.
Yeah.
But you know what? Everybody has to be responsible for their own well-being.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I've always said. So there's an element of taking care of your own mental health and emotional health, and taking action and doing things that are right for you to keep you well. Mm-hmm. Whether it's going to sit in a wee corner of a shop like you've got, or taking a walk out in fresh air, or do you know what, just taking time just to have a warm bath or whatever, just little things, because all the little things mount up. And people have to be able to know that there is always actions that people can take to look after themselves. And when you're talking about when people get to an extreme level where perhaps they're no longer got that awareness, that's when it's beyond the help of people like you and me, Stephen. That's when it's medical care that's required.
Yeah.
And you've got to remember there is a line between what we do and what medical care is needed.
Yeah. Again, that is something that you and I can recognise as well. When we have people coming into the shop, if you've got people coming to you, or if you're in the shop, you and I are both trained now to recognise when people need more than that as well. Yeah. So, we can then obviously advise, different approaches, and obviously we can't make them go and see their GP or, but we can certainly give them advice.
Well, the conversations I have with people, either I can help them, or I would always refer in certain cases that they go and speak to their doctor and make their doctor aware they're coming to me. But I have certain conversations as well to assess the risk of life with mental health. And if I thought there was a danger or a risk to life, I wouldn't let that person leave me without me getting the police involved. if I thought that person was in danger of ending their life. So all that, I mean, that sounds a bit extreme, but that's the kind of assessments I do when I see people.
Yeah. I think it's always really, really important, to have that there. That's why I was so passionate about, having all of our team trained in mental health first aid as well. Obviously you are as well, and you are our compassion and kindness coach as well. So when we're working with people in the shop and we're feeling like this isn't a reading, this person needs some sort of support, we've got you as that resource. So which is, I'm just so grateful for you for that as well, because I don't always have time to sit with people,
and that compassion and kindness coach, and it's helped me grief counselling and things like that as well. Just reiterating to anyone that does come into your shop who needs that, I don't charge for that in the Soul Man surgery. If people are in that moment needing a helping hand, I'm not going to be saying, well, you have to pay me. That is my time that I'm offering to the shop to help people.
Yeah. And equally, we fill our way rolls and sausage, unlimited tea, coffee.
Yeah, my cappuccino in the morning, please. My roll when I turn up.
we fill her with food and kindness.
Yes.
But it's an exchange of energy, though, isn't it, Susan? Like, I'll do things for you, you do things for us, and that's how it should be. We should all be working together with it taking.
It definitely feels like that. There's a lot of teamwork that goes on. It's not one-sided in any way at all. And I love coming at the shop because of the work I do and working for this office and here, I work alone. So I'm very rarely around people unless it's clients. So to go into your shop environment a couple of days a month with the nice smells, the music, the friendly faces, it's actually really good for my well-being and my mental health to be back out there among people as well. And I like it.
She's saying a couple of days a month, but she's going to start coming a couple of days a week.
No.
I am going
No.
I am going to do my damnedest to get Susan Watson in the shop a couple of days a week, because I just love you being there.
I like my comfy little office with my TV and my Netflix and my coffee machine.
Well, you can have exactly the same in the shop. I'll even get you a couch for your room.
Yeah. So I can just lie along it and do nothing.
Yeah. Do you know, Susan, like, when she's in, she always says, like, we'll have a chat during the day, and then come the end of the day, I'm usually quite busy out, like, working with people, and she just buggers off every time. She just, like, sneaks out the door, and I'm like, did she not say goodbye? She did, but you were working. Yeah. Raging. So didn't do that.
Yeah. I quite like it as well because you let me practice on you. So whenever I get a new therapy or something that I'm going to start working on, it's like, Stephen, let's wait back and I'll practice on you and see how it goes.
And they're not very nice, if I'm dead honest.
They're so. The only one you were screaming with was the ear acupuncture, the electrical stim in the ear. You were screaming like a wee girl.
So that ear stimulation, that is like somebody plugging you into the frickin' mains. It's horrendous. Horrible.
It's just like somebody touching your ear like that.
It really is, me. But we'll agree to disagree on that one.
Yes.
And you've been doing as well, I need to ask you about this because you've been doing, now I know because I've been speaking to you, but you've been doing a course on colour acupressure or acupuncture, is it?
It's called colour puncture, but it's colour therapy mixed in with acupressure and acupuncture, all sort of blended. I'll introduce you to my new friends.
Well, cover them up, please, just in case there's children watching.
This is my new friend.
Oh, cover that up as well.
And this is me learning all the meridian lines and all that through the body and what organs they connect to and all the rest of it.
And I have to say, she's
I'll turn these boy bits away.
I know that's a really bad position to have that, by the way. You've got a willy above your head. But no, she's really, really, really enjoying that course, aren't you, Susan?
Do you know what? It is really good, but it's so intense. I've got so much to learn. My head's like, I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking, what organ does this go in and what colour's that? And how would I treat that? And where's the pressure point in the body for this? And I'm like, oh, it's just, I've trained in a lot, but this course is really intense. And I was saying to Stephen, it's a special pen that you get with a coloured light on it for the acupressure points. And I was saying that I just ordered one. I nearly passed out with the price of it. I was like, what?
Tell them how much. Are you happy to tell them how much, actually? Yeah.
For this pen to use with the colour therapy, and the pen alone, without the course or anything, was £600. And I was like hyperventilating because I needed it to do it. But I was like, oh my God, 600.
When she told me, I was like, you've got more money than fricking sense. That's bloody terrible.
Well, all the money that I've invested in the course, all the other materials that I've had to purchase, because I've purchased coloured oils and all different things like that, and all my time I've invested in it. Imagine doing that and then not doing it because you've not got the pen to do it.
Exactly.
So it didn't, I mean, I'm not saying I was happy about it. Like, it was a big shock to my system. And don't tell my husband because he doesn't know.
That is one thing that I love about Susan, though, and for anybody who doesn't know this, right, and she'll know fly her own kite, so to speak. But Susan invests so much in her own training and her own all of the stuff that Susan does behind the scenes. She invests so much time, so much energy. You know, she obviously invests financially, and I think that when someone's investing all that in themselves, you know, you're absolutely guaranteed to get a brilliant service.
I want to offer the reason I never stopped learning. I mean, when this course is finished, I know I'll do another course. But the reason for that, and it sounds a bit extreme, is everything that I do training. I mean, this colour acupuncture course, I could use it for physical illnesses, but I won't. What I'm doing is taking my learning for that to help people with depression, anxiety, emotions. So I tailor it in to still work with the client, the type of client I work for, but it's given me more tools to make sure that I can give them the best that they can possibly expect when they come to see me. That's important.
So with the colour side of things, you've got your colour lamp. So you lie on the therapy bed and you've got this lamp that goes, oh, that's a really nice stretch. Sorry. You've got this lamp that goes over your head, which Susan works with. So what is the lamp that goes across it?
I've got loads. I've got the one that's on the bed is LED lights. There's all different colours because different colours have different impacts on your mood, like blue, red, yellow, orange, etc., whatever it is. But you can also put in a rainbow colour, so you get like a multitude of different things. And it's got a calcium button in it, so it's feeding more calcium into your body. It's all different things for your well-being. People get an option for that. I have other lights that I can just put on where I can just shine it on to cover the person's body. I'll do acupressure hand massage with coloured oils. So it'll be on the pressure points with specifically prepared oils.
Sign me up.
On reflex, I'll do that and putting the coloured oils on acupressure points on the lower arm. I'll also be looking at doing the oil on the feet, if some people prefer that, because some people might have painful hands, but their feet are okay, so I would do it on their feet. I'll be doing acupressure on the face with the light and the light on the hands. I decided not to do the body because I don't want to do it on places where people have to take their clothes off. But the face and right down to the shoulders represents every organ in your body anyway. So I can purely work on the face and the hands and the feet. So it's really exciting. So I'll be using oils and lights and different colours and all different stuff. all based to working with the nervous system now and the emotions and how people feel about themselves.
So it complements beautifully what you already do, but I suppose it's just a physical therapy that's going to complement the work that you're doing with people emotionally, isn't it?
I'll be probably mainly adding that in blend, because I blend therapies.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody comes to see me and say they're feeling anxious, it's very unlikely that I would just do a colour therapy. I would do some of my other things and add in the colour therapy to that. So it'd be blended in with what I do.
So if you want to see Susan for an oil change and a full MOT,
pretty much,
you should actually have that listed as one of your therapies, MOT.
I know, but it's like a full emotional and mental. Remember all these things that I'm doing, the acupressure and the colour therapy and the oils, because I work a lot with trauma as well. They're very good for helping people release past trauma and move on to that as well.
Yeah.
So it is, because I've looked right into it, and that's what I wanted, something that was different from what I do already, but would be very effective and blended into other therapies.
Yeah, because light is already used in some therapies. You know, you've got flash therapy, haven't you, for people that have been through like really difficult trauma.
I use flash therapy, but that's not light.
Oh, is it not?
No, flash therapy. That flash therapy is physical movements to work with how the brain works, change emotions. No, it's not light.
See, I thought flash therapy was like a flashing light. No.
No, flash therapy is bilateral stimulations and thinking and emotions and changing emotional connections to the past while talking.
So what's the light therapy? Because I've seen psychologists in America using this. It's like a strobe light.
Oh, that's EMDR.
Oh, is it?
Eye movement desensitization. I do that. See the buzzers that I've got, the buzz on the hand. Remember you were doing that with the noise in the ear as well? And I was doing the eye movement. Mm-hmm. That's what the strobe light is. Instead of moving my fingers back and forward, you could have the strobe light and you move your eyes to follow the light. So that's EMDR and bilateral stimulation. That's for trauma as well.
Right, okay.
I do that as well, but without the strobe light. I use my hands and noise.
So it's the same thing, it's just in a different way.
Instead of following the light back and forward with your eyes, you follow my finger. It's exactly the same. Or I've got a little stick with an orange button on the end of it you can follow.
I love that. What is it called again?
I call it buzzers. I'm really technical, but it's a bilateral. It's a bilateral stimulation. You put headphones on, and you've got a noise that goes do 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 do. At the same time you hold the buzzers go buzz buzz. So it's stimulating different parts of your brain, but it's actually really relaxing as well.
It is really, really good. That's the thing that I done that took me to the other place, isn't it?
I can't remember, Stephen. You just every time I work for you, you go somewhere.
I know. You put the sound on and then you distort it.
Yeah. Oh no, that's bod. That's the bod.
Oh, is it? Right. Okay. But I have done the hand thing as well.
Yeah, you have done that. You have. That's when we're talking about the colour and changing emotions with the colour, probably. But the bod is when we tune it into you and then we distort it. And then I'll leave you sitting for 15 minutes getting bombarded with a noise. I'm
thinking in the future I could do the vagus nerve stimulator, stick that on, put the bod on, and have the buzzers all at once. Would that work?
Not something I would do. I don't think I would recommend that. I think I might overload you a wee bit with that.
No, I want to try it.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not responsible for that. I've got ethics.
You didn't have ethics when it comes to me.
I do.
She enjoys zapping me with that ear gun. She's like, "Shut up, come here, shut up."
I had people coming to see me after that saying, I've seen Stephen getting the video of Stephen getting this. Is it really going to be as sore as that? And I'd say, no, Stephen's a big wuss. I promise you, you're not going to feel it. And they're like, oh, oh. And I put on, they're like, God, that's nothing. What's he's screaming at? I'm saying, told you. I said, he's got very sensitive ears.
I'm just really sensitive, I suppose. I remember when I was little, I got a scalp in my finger, right? So I was at my granny's and she was like, don't touch the shed because you'll get a splinter. And I was like, all right. Touched the shed and I got a splinter. Now, honestly, I remember having this and it looked like a tree hanging out my finger, right? And my granny says, come here. And she gets a needle, right? And she's picking away at my skin to get this splinter out. And I was screaming the house down. And it's the most traumatic event in my whole life, was getting that splinter removed from my finger.
And how old were you at this time? About 20, Stephen?
I'm 25. No, I was about 7, I think. But
because I remember getting the needle with splinters. Everybody's scared of that. As soon as you see the needle come towards you, you're like, no.
I think that's where my fear of needles comes from, because I'm scared of two things. I am terrified of needles and cotton. Cotton wool.
I can get rid of that for you.
God.
What next time I'm in the shop when we're all back to normal, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of that for you.
Okay. See, just thinking about cotton wool makes me. I'm interested as well, actually, for all the people that are watching. Do you have any phobias? Is there anything that you are phobic of, scared of?
Right, but there's a difference between fear and phobia. You can be scared of things, and it's not a phobia.
I think I've got a phobia when it comes.
Right.
See, with needles, if I was to go for blood, for instance, the minute the needle goes in, I faint.
I daughters like that. My son's a bit like that with needles as well. I think with me, I definitely had a phobia of worms.
Oh, really?
I had a really bad phobia of worms and a really bad phobia of heights. I know I still don't love heights and I'll never want a pet worm, but I've no longer got my phobia. Because like the worms, I used to be so bad that I couldn't go out if it was raining. I just couldn't go out because I knew worms would be on the road if it was raining.
Really?
And if I was working and I had to come home and get off the bus because I don't drive, and then I'd be like, well, it's wet, there's got to be worms here. And I'd feel this real bad panic. And I used to actually phone Scott up and say, you have to come and get me. I can't come home, there'll be worms on the pavement. And I'd be greeting. I know it sounds, and he'd have to come and get me. I could never, even now, I wouldn't want to be around somebody gardening in case there's a worms, but I can go out when it's wet now. I can actually have a worm near my foot and I don't freak out or panic now. But that's because I got work. What I do when I was training, I got somebody to work on that, so it doesn't bother me. Heights, but I used to work in a warehouse when I was about 30, and couldn't stand on the height of a pallet. And a pallet's nothing; it's only a few inches. I used to just about faint if I had to stand on a pallet. And a warehouse used to stand on the pallets to balance them as they were getting wrapped up. I used to take my kids to the museum, and you go upstairs to the museum. I used to slide along the wall. I used to cross bridges on my hands and knees. Honestly, the kids would be on jumping on them to make them shake, and I'd be screaming and crawling along my stomach. So it was really extreme. And then I done a parachute jump after I got work on that. I leaped out of a plane. Do you know what I mean? So. And I only done the parachute jump maybe 3 years ago.
I have to say, the museum in Edinburgh, I'm terrified when because it's.
I just used to feel that I was getting drawn over the side. Same like when you walked around a harbour, I couldn't stand it. I used to feel I was getting drawn over. I don't feel like that now though. I don't. I can't say I love heights and I can't say I love worms, but I'm certainly not phobic about it now. If I see anything like that, I don't go into that. That's what a phobia is. It's just like overwhelming the panic when you see it or do it.
Yeah. See, when I was when I was growing up, I was always terrified of big open spaces as well, and flies.
Mm.
So see if there was a fly in my room, I would be, even now, see if there's a fly in the house. Oh my God, it just drives me insane. It's
So
not
there's,
that
there's
weird of it.
loads of weird phobia. I mean, some people have, you talked like cotton wool. Some people have got are real phobic about like buttons. Can't they stand a button? So they can't wear clothes with buttons on them or anything like that. And a common one's balloons. That's really common. People don't like balloons. Maybe when they were wee, they've had a fright with a balloon bursting or something.
So where does phobia come from? Where do fears and phobias come from? Is it
I know where my son's.
experience?
Well, yeah, I think something like that. I know my son's fear of needles, and he's like you with needles, comes from his preschool jag when he was 4. Because I can remember walking down the road with him and saying to him, "You're going to be okay. This isn't going to hurt, right? It's not going to hurt. You're going to be okay. Mum's with you." Right. And I went and the woman gave him a jag. He screamed like nothing on earth. Now he was only 4. He turned and he slapped me across the face. And then I panicked and screamed at me, "You lied to me." And I know that's where his fear of needles came from. What I should have said at that time is, "You might feel a wee sting, but it's going to be okay." But I had set him up, he wasn't going to feel anything, which was wrong. My daughter, who's now 42, has a terrible phobia of spiders. I sound like a cruel mother here because this comes from me as well. You used to be able to get like wee rubber octopus things, right? That you could throw out the window and they walk down the window.
Mm-hmm.
Like a wee toy sticky thing. Well, I remember the kids had that and I used to throw it out the window and Andrew and James would be laughing and Laura used to scream. And it was actually the leg movements. And now she's got the worst fear of spiders in the world and she's 42. And she's actually said to me now that comes from that because that's how I used to feel when you used to have that wee octopus thing. So I've given 2 of my children the worst phobias that they've ever experienced in their life unintentionally.
I think that's quite common though, for parents to do things like that and not realise it.
Yeah.
I remember really, really, really vividly taking Finley for his Jags when he was a baby.
Mhm.
He's 16 now, and I remember saying to him, "Listen, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt." Well, he wasn't a baby. How old was he? 4, 5?
It's preschool Jags.
Yeah. And I remember saying to him, "It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt." Okay, okay, okay. And then when he had it, he was see the minute they put the needle in, he was absolutely screaming, and we couldn't calm him down for about an hour after it.
Mm.
And when we had Noah, when Noah was getting his Jags, I'd said to Nikki, I was like, "We can't do that again. We just need to tell him and be really honest with him." And we said to him, "So Noah, this is gonna," because Noah's had to get bloods and things like that as well. "So you're gonna feel a scratch."
Yeah.
No. But I think that's the thing, we need to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you just do what you think is right. It's not until later on you realise, oh God, that's what I think. I mean, I would never intentionally give my kids phobias. There was nothing like that. But the good thing is anyone who has phobias, it can be removed. You might never have that thing as your favourite thing and like it, but you can get rid of that panic and that phobic reaction for anything. So Stephen, you'll be my next guinea pig for that when I see you. And I'll have you playing with cotton wool and rubbing it on your hands and face. And it won't bother you.
I honestly, genuinely do not think that you can fix that. I don't think anybody would be able to fix that, but that's just how I feel about it.
What I would say though is I can't force you. You have to create it and want to change it.
Nikki does this thing to torment me, so I can't even tell you. She does washing. So she does a washing, and then when it's wet, she does something with it. Involving her teeth.
All right.
Just makes me... I don't even know how... I don't know why or where that comes from either. It's really strange.
Well, you've got quite a few things that need worked on, really, Stephen.
I actually do. And you know that, like, I've realised that I'd been telling myself for years that I didn't like certain foods, and you'll know this as well. You know, like olives, aubergines, courgettes, all of these different types of food that I've been telling myself that I didn't like. And actually, over the last few weeks, I've been trying these foods and actually proving myself wrong. That, you know, it's not that I don't like them; it's just the way that they've been prepared in the past.
Yeah. I used to always think I hated olives, and then when I first really tasted them, I wasn't really that. I didn't hate them, but I didn't really like them. It's almost like it's a taste you get used to, and you actually start to really enjoy it. I love olives now, really do.
I can't say I love them, but it's palatable now.
Yeah, I think once you're at that stage, the more you eat them, they just taste better and better and better.
It's interesting, though, isn't it, how we tell ourselves and give ourselves a message that we don't like something, or, you know, that
your palate changes as you get older anyway.
Yeah.
Food you hated when you were young, you like when you're an adult, and vice versa.
And equally, all these things, you know, that I could say that I'm afraid of. So, you know, cotton wool, needles, flies. I'm not keen on spiders either, if I'm really honest. I can be near one, but I'm not keen on them. The sea as well. Like, I love being near the sea. I love swimming in the sea. But see, when it's really deep and I can see everything going on underneath me, I find it terrifying as well, because it's such a vast expanse.
I've just thought of something else for you saying that I don't like. Is it a phobia? I don't know if it's a phobia. I just don't like it. And that is walking in my bare feet on wet sand.
I'm the same.
I don't like that. I don't like that feeling.
I don't like walking on the sand full stop in my bare feet.
I lived for quite a lot of years in my childhood in North Berwick, and we used to go and play on the beach quite a lot. And in the wet sand, when the sea went out, you used to get, like, this is probably my worm phobia though, you get the rings where what looked like there'd been worm, well, it was worms in the sand, but it was only the marks in the sand, the worms weren't in there. And I can remember my older sisters telling me that there were worms, and I'd be like, ah, panicky worms. And I think now, even when I walk on wet sand, I always get an image of these worms under the sand. It sort of freaks me out a wee bit. So maybe I need to get that sorted. Maybe I should work on myself.
Yeah, it's funny how we've programmed ourselves to think like this, though. And I suppose what you do with people as well when you're helping people to overcome phobias, that would be, you know, that you're deprogramming that or writing a new program. Would that make sense?
I change the emotional reaction into something else. Yeah. So it is program, really.
So you're not rewriting it, you're just changing how they feel about it.
Yes.
So you think that when you sit with me, I will be okay with cotton wool?
Yes. You might not love it, but you won't go, ah, when anybody's rubbing it about near you.
But what do you do? Like, how can you make that happen?
Well, it's no different, really, is it, from working with people who've had bad experiences, and when they think of that bad experiences, they've got the traumatic response, right? So what I do is a process with them that can sometimes just take a couple of minutes, so that when they think back to that experience, that they no longer have that traumatic response. You can't change the experience. What happens in the past happens in the past, but you can definitely change how you feel emotionally about it now. And I guess that's exactly how I do it with phobias. And it's not really, it's just through talking and using your imagination, really. Using your own mind to make the change for you.
I can't even imagine you can change it. It's really strange. I cannot. Hopefully you can.
Yeah, you can. Honest, you can. I'm telling you.
We'll do a live, actually. See when we're.
What I do is I pull it out you. Now remember that? The pulling it out?
Yeah.
That's part of what I do.
We'll maybe do a wee live session with that. Maybe not necessarily all of the session, but the part where I'm holding Cotton Wool going, hey, look!
That will be happening. That will be possible.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, any questions for Susan this morning, guys? Because obviously we've been yabbing on for the last 51 minutes. So, do you guys have any questions on anything that we've spoken about today or any other things? You've got Joanne saying that she's terrified of needles. Teresa doesn't like crowds, which is interesting.
That's quite a common one as well.
Is it?
A lot of people don't like crowds.
Teresa's also saying you hardly see worms now. I see loads of worms. We've got loads and loads of worms in where we live. Especially when it's raining. If it's been raining, there's worms everywhere. Maybe our soil's just really fertile, I suppose. I don't know.
There's a lot in my street if it's raining. You get them all on the pavement, but it's these wee pink, horrible ones. Wee tiny wee. They didn't really bother me that much. It's the big ones, because my sister used to tell me that the big ones were bloodsuckers, and that if they got you, they'd suck all your blood, And I'd be like, oh, they're coming for me. They're going to suck all my blood. It's her fault. So Geraldine Folds, if you ever watch this, you terrorise me.
It might traumatise you for me to tell you this, but see, if it's been raining, me and my boys, we save the worms. We pick them up off the pavement in our hands, all slimy, and they're like crawling through our fingers, and we throw them back into the mud.
I couldn't touch one. I'm not phobic, but I couldn't touch one. I remember when I was about 15 in the biology class, and the teacher had a worm hanging on her finger, and she was talking about the way worms move and things like that. And she says, right, we're going to pass it down in the class and everybody can get a shot of this, right? And I'm sitting going, oh, fuck, excuse my language, right? I'm going to have to do this. I'm not going to be the one in the class that can't do it. So I put my hand out like this, right? Shaky hand. I laid the worm on my finger and I went through it right across the classroom and hit somebody with it. But I wasn't. I actually really wanted to do it. I wanted to be brave, but the minute they dropped it on my finger, I was just like, there's no way. I just couldn't. That was the phobic fear. Get away from me, just kicking in. And I was mortified, absolutely mortified.
That's funny.
So I know that, and I just know myself now that although I'm not really that scared of them, I wouldn't particularly want to touch them. Mm-hmm. But I don't really like anything that moves without legs. Anything you can find under a stone isn't really my best friend.
Me and my boys, what we do is we get loads of slugs, we get loads of snails, and we try and put them into the grass. We wouldn't touch the slugs because they stick and they're really sticky.
I'm not a big slug person either. I can remember, the big black thick slugs you get. You know what I'm talking about? I can remember when I was about 10, I was walking on the road and I stood on one. And that actually tormented me for a long time, this squashed black slug under my foot.
We get a lot of slugs in our back garden, right? And I was taking the bins out one night, and I don't know if anybody else has problems with slugs in their back garden, but I was taking the bin out one night, and we've got like a patio area which is just paved slabs. So I was walking out of the bin and I was in my bare feet and I stood on a slug. Blah!
I'd be like,
I was screaming, and I'm trying to scrape it off my foot, and then it's going up into my toes, and I'm like, wah!
I'm laughing because it's you, Steve.
Oh my God.
If it was me, I would be a howling mess. On my bare feet, I couldn't. I couldn't stand that.
And I can still remember the feeling of it now. It's like standing on a bit of chicken, or I think I'd like to stop you and apologise to everybody that we've just given fresh phobias to, that now will be absolutely not wanting to go near slugs. I know, I do apologise. We're kind of going down a leafy lane, so to speak, with slug talk and
Slug talk.
and phobias. But I think that, you know, it'll relate to people. People will watch this and be thinking, you know, I've got this phobia. I might want to go and see Susan. Teresa said that's as bad as dog poo.
I've done that before as well.
And your bare feet. No!
Yeah.
I've not done that.
No, it was actually a dog I had that had pooped on the floor and I didn't realise, and I went in bare feet right in it. My dog was ill. That wasn't either. Squished up between my toes.
I'm going to tell you a really funny story, right? And it's no relevance at all. I suppose it does have relevance, but maybe say 12 years ago, Dylan, he's 21, so he would have been about 8 or 9. So he got up in the middle of the night, right? And at the time, we had a little Shih Tzu, who isn't here anymore, sadly. But we had this wee Shih Tzu, and the kids had a hamster and all the rest of it. Anyway, so Dylan gets up and he's like, "Mum, Dad, I feel really sick." And we're like, "Well, go to the toilet then. Go and be sick in the toilet." Because we're really bad parents. If our kids are being sick, we're like, "Go to the toilet. Go and spew yourself." Because none of us can handle the.
I can't like it either.
Anyway, so we'll stand at the toilet door like, "All right, okay, it's fine. Just when you finish being sick, we'll rub your back." So Dylan goes through, he vomits in the hall, right? And as he vomits, the dog gets a fright. So the dog, like, wee Shih Tzu, barking away. The dog obviously didn't understand what was going on. So the dog then pisses and shits beside the sick, right? And amongst all this chaos, I get up out of bed and walk through, slip in the vomit, no realising the vomit was there. And I was just in my boxers, slipped, my back slapped against the vomit. And then to top it all off, the hamster's crawling across the floor. The hamster got out of its cage. So that was a night from hell, by the way.
Sounds it. You've actually made me feel ill now.
Yeah, I do.
I've got that kind of sort of feeling. You're like,
yeah. So we've got Jigembe, or whatever his name is. So Ifa, if you're watching, Jennifer Elliott, you have to inbox him for spiritual guidance. So get on it. Inbox him straight away for spiritual guidance. I'm sure that you're going to want to do that. Teresa, you must inbox him for spiritual guidance also. Give him all your money if you can. I'm sure that's what he wants. Sorry, we're just going to... Joanne, there you go. He's a busy guy, by the way, Susan. Look at this. Is it a guy or is it a woman?
I don't know. I can't see a face. It's like a mask or something in these pictures. Some Africans sort of look at masks.
So,
to me, anyway.
Really, really busy. So obviously, you know, he's trying to pick you up to give you his readings, but obviously you're not here to get readings from Ifa Jembe or Gemi, whatever his name is, or her name is. So thank you so much for coming on to our live, Ifa. But I would ask that you just don't. Thank you.
And I would like to thank the people who have managed to stay and listen to our boring chat. And Stephen has left me on my own again because I told him that I didn't want that.
Sorry, Susan.
Look at that, I've got a wee red face now. Embarrassed. Stephen! Right, I'm leaving the show. Actually, we're 2 minutes past our hour. 2 minutes past our hour. It's time to end it. Say all goodbye.
Right. Bye!
Bye, people. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everybody, and have an absolutely wonderful day. Susan, we've lost all our viewers anyway. They're all gone.
No wonder.
Nobody wants us now. Anyway, thank you. Take care, everybody. Susan,
Bye.
hang about.
Strong.